This meeting is being recorded.
I should keep that in.
All right. Yeah, you should. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host, Grant Hawker.
Always.
Always. And on to third mic tonight is our good buddy, Mike Connor. What's up, man?
Not much. How's it going?
Pretty good. We're watching this Thursday night football game countdown here. Grant was saying Steelers just got the ball back again, already up 19-18. Snow's coming down. It's going to be a close one.
Perfect
Gotta
football
love,
weather. Football
gotta
weather, baby.
love that almost winter football.
I was telling Grant before you got on here that I think those Browns uniforms are the perfect uniforms for the snow. It looks immaculate out there. Those
hmm
that burnt orange with that dark brown and the pure snow coming down. I was like, man, that team looks so good out there.
Yeah. No, I'd
I,
love to go to a game like a NFL game in the snow. Like it'd be so cool. Just don't live anywhere where that happens often, but over in the
yeah,
Midwest, absolutely.
us West Coasters, not so
It's
much.
rain or sun. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
The well, we got a lot to get into tonight. We'll keep tabs on that. We've been recording, later in the week quite a bit recently, but we'll definitely keep tabs on this one. This was a game we would not have necessarily picked to be close, but Thursday night gets weird sometimes. That happens.
Yeah.
But we'll get to pick them at the end. Tonight, we're going to be talking through some midseason awards in a little bit. Just kind of who we think is trending towards those, whether it's MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, who we think's trending towards those spots. So we'll get to in a little bit. But we had some great games this last week. I want to
Yeah,
hit.
we did.
I want to hit the big one. Thank God. Thank God that you know who finally lost the game.
That's right. They toppled the Dark Lord himself. Like,
I
oh
would
my
love to
gosh.
personally shake the hand of Josh Allen and say thank you for that run in the fourth quarter, which
Dude,
was incredible.
knife in the back right there. Just
Oh,
bleed him out right there.
here's your
I loved
soul
it.
coming out of your chest.
I love it, especially just because of like there's been a lot of games where Josh Allen hasn't even got the chance to get the ball back to defeat a Chiefs team, and he
Fair.
was like, you know
Yep.
what? I'm done sitting on the sideline and watching the Chiefs win. I'm taking this game myself, and ran it in there. It was awesome. The
Fourth down.
collective world celebrated.
Oh, dude. I got so excited. I actually tuned in not that long before that one. I had stuff going on that night and then got to come back and watch it. And so I'd only been watching maybe one drive prior to that and was kind of walking around. I'm paying attention while it's on the TV. I see third down become fourth down, and I'm like, they gonna what they gonna do? And that offense seemed to be just plugging along. Like it was not a problem to get the ball moving.
Yeah,
And you got to love the coaching decision. Put the ball in your guys' hands and let's go.
that's why he gets
Yeah,
paid the money he does. That's why.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's the game he's got to go win.
Yep.
We talked about earlier on in the season that Buffalo had been beating the teams it was supposed to beat.
Right.
Gotten lucky with a few injuries when they were coming up against some tougher teams, namely that early game against Miami when Tua went out with the concussion. And we kind of given them a little bit of grief. We're like, is this team really for real? Like they haven't beat anybody, but you come out and beat an undefeated Chiefs team, be it on your home soil. I mean, okay, but
It's always on
to do it
someone's
the
home
way
soil. Who cares?
it's yeah, but to be able to do it in the manner that they did, and Josh Allen just throw his team on his back, down his starting tight end, down to starting wide receiver, and just go out there and get it done. Just put 30 up on the Chiefs, even at
A
home.
great defense.
That's
A
great
great
defense.
defense. Well, especially, right? I mean, defense travels. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter, where it is, cold weather or whatever. Like defense will always travel. That's the thing you can always count on. And to put up 30 against a Spagnola defense, uh, legit. That was legit. It finally happened.
absolutely.
Finally
So
happened.
glad.
I mean,
So stinking glad.
it was gonna happen at some point. Like no team's going 17-0. anymore.
Right.
I just don't think that's ever going to be a possibility. So obviously the 72 Dolphins get to celebrate, and they could probably hold that for the rest of the time. Like I just don't see how we're going to keep adding more and more games. We're going to be at 20 within the next 5 years. Like that's where this thing is going. Like so, that's
Yeah.
virtually impossible. And I think teams at this point don't care. Like if you go undefeated but you lose Super Bowl, who cares? But if you go 12-5, win Super Bowl, perfect. That's what you want.
Yeah.
So who cares at
Yeah.
this point? I just don't think people care.
Going into this game, I was looking at some stats before that game this last week and had screenshotted this because it made me think about that all-time comparison of you brought up the 72 Dolphins. Also, the last guy to make it to this point, obviously, because he made it a lot farther, undefeated, was Tom Brady in 2007. And I was looking up this stat comparison between the two because we've also noticed, as you just mentioned, the defense for Kansas City getting a lot done. That Mahomes has not been Mahomes lately.
Well, he doesn't need
Like
to be
not at all this year.
for one, but also
He,
yeah, his stats wise, it's statistically his worst season.
yeah, and I was looking up. This is the drastic nature, I think, of what those two teams were. Because that 2017, Brady just threw him on his back and started chucking the ball downfield.
To Randy
He had
Moss.
three well and I'm you can't remember that slew of players that he had
Oh yeah,
quite literally on that team, but through 10 games of the 2007 season, Brady had 3,059 pass yards, had a 74.3 completion rate, 38 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in 10 games.
that's insane. Insane.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Mahomes this year, 2,200 pass yards, 69.5 completion percentage rate. Not a bad completion
Oh,
percentage rate at all,
well
No,
above
that's actually
average.
very good. Yeah.
That's very good.
but 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
That's that.
Quite pedestrian.
Those are backup numbers. Like a backup
We're,
coming in to start. For a few
we're
games. That's what that is.
yeah, we're going to get into a discussion about some young quarterbacks in just a minute, and their numbers definitely better than Mahomes so far this year. Just
Especially
from
an
the
individual in their
numbers
division.
standpoint. Yep.
There's a certain individual in their division, and yeah, for sure.
But speaking of division stuff, and coming off this game, want to get down to a team that we love watching as Duck fans. The three of us do enjoy watching a specific quarterback do well in the NFL. Or at least it admirers of this individual. The Chargers getting it done in the fourth quarter against the unluckiest football team in the NFL. The Bengals this weekend. Great game.
The best worst
Sunday
team,
night.
as we said last week, they are the best worst team possibly
They're
ever.
holding that down.
Yeah.
They are holding it down. Chargers get it done again. Justin Herbert, holy cow. I love watching this dude play football. Like, absolutely fun to watch. Burrow played a heck of a game again. It's the same old story every single week. That and made them work for it because the Chargers in this game were down, had to come back in the second half, and Justin Herbert just did nothing but score points against that hapless Bengals defense that can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
But legit, I know we're going to get into Coach of the Year discussion in a little bit. Jim Harbaugh has turned this thing around, has these boys 7-3 right now. Pretty stinking awesome. And, Herbert, obviously, huge reason why. But that guy had already been getting it done. We'd watch the stats be there every single year. The effort's there. But they couldn't stop people in key situations. Remember how many close games this team has lost in the last 2 seasons before Harbaugh's arrival, which is why.
I mean, dude, with Anthony Lynn, even before Brandon Staley.
Right.
Well, his last season, like almost all of their losses, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think all their losses were within 3 points, or at least
one
bunch of them. One score.
It was all but one loss was within
like,
one
and it's
score.
just like it's just like this curse, like for real, like a Chargers curse. It seems like, but also Brandon Staley was terrible. And I'd argue probably even worse than Anthony Lynn. But anyway,
Well, and we spoke at length last year about how this team looked good and the coaching was bad.
oh yeah,
Right.
Like
yeah.
we spoke about like the coaching decisions that were made last year, like going forward at the wrong time. Like you were just
Bad
like, what are you
timeouts.
doing? that terrible timeouts. And and I don't think any of us are truly surprised. I mean, I'm surprised it's year one, but I think everybody expected Jim Harbaugh to go in there and be like, I'm going to give you guys some good coaching. This is a good team.
Mhm.
Even though we've lost our best wide receivers, even though we've cut some costs this offseason, I'm Jim Harbaugh. I'm we're going to get Greg Roman in here. We're going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, give our
Yep.
quarterback some play action pass opportunities, and we're going to win games. And that's just
Yep.
what they've been doing.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what it
Well,
is.
and they also proved us wrong. We had in our pick 'em, I think all of us picked the Bengals in this game because we thought this was
Yeah.
a must-have, right? That was kind of our things, like because yeah, the Bengals now are cooked. They're done. They're out for the season. Like they can't really do anything with how good the other three teams in their division are. Like they're not getting the playoffs. But one thing that we had said, a reason also is like the Bengals can score fast because they've got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and that's an elite connection. But then we said that the style of football, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, as Mike said, really it's really hard to try and play catch up. And we thought that might have been the thing. Like they can't play from behind, but they proved they can. They proved that they can absolutely play from behind and then get the win. So great win for them, proved us wrong. So really happy for this team. Obviously happy for Justin Herbert. Now, man, if they can just use their next pick next year for like, get a blue chip wide receiver, even trade up, try and get a good wide receiver. Like, and I think Lad McConkey's good, but like, or make a trade or, whatever, sign a free agent. Like this team's legit for real.
Who's the outside of Loud McConkey? Who's the one receiver on this team?
Well, there's Quentin Johnson and
Quentin,
Josh
yeah,
Palmer.
Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson, by the way, had a heck of a game.
Hmm?
Hasn't necessarily stayed on the field as much as they would
Was
like,
rookie last
but
year. Yep.
yeah, but definitely, definitely has flashed when on this year. Had a few drops early in the season, but has flashed when he's on. But who's their starting tight end?
Hmm. Is Gerald Everett
I
still there?
saw it.
Grant knows him quite well.
Oh, wait, isn't Disley on that team? Will
Disley
Disley?
is the starting
Yeah,
tight end.
that guy's a blocking tight
Yeah.
end. Like that's and he's good at blocking. Like you got jumbo package, all that stuff, goal line, but like, bro's not a catching tight end.
I mean, last year we remember who was their number one receiver last year. I'm gonna keep quizzing here.
It was Keenan Allen.
Keenan
Keenan
Allen.
Allen, right? Yeah.
Who's
Caught like 100 balls.
who was supposed to be the two last year? Played
Mike
on another
Williams.
team. Mike
Jameson
Williams.
Williams. Mike Williams. Sorry, not
Yep.
Jameson. Mike.
And who was their tight end last year?
Was it Gerald Everett?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have completely retooled their wide receiver room. They have a blocking tight end. They drafted a legit starting tackle, probably going to make the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Someday.
10-year pro. You don't have to draft that position for 10 years.
Dear Lord. And they went and got two-time ACL injury, J.K. Dobbins to come play running back.
And Gus Edwards, by the way.
And Gus
And Gus Edwards.
They both
Literally
that Ravens
just
running
took
back
the
room,
Ravens
dude.
running back room over. And
They got a true lightning and thunder. Yeah.
and are 7-3 right now, and in a locked spot to make the playoffs in the AFC after clearing out their offensive staff. I mean, all over the place. I love Jim Harbaugh, and that's no secret at all as a 49er fan. Like, loved what he did for my team. Wish that ownership at the time wasn't dumb and moved on from him during one weird season where a quarterback decided to take a knee and stuff. And I absolutely love what he's doing. The transformation is there. The style of football wins games in the NFL.
Yep.
All this dude does is win wherever he goes. All Herbert does is put his team in a position to win every single week. That guy might have a difficult half or a bad quarter, but he's going to come out and play good football over an entire 4-quarter game. That's just going to happen. He beats you with his athleticism. He can get down the field on a run when he needs to, obviously. He is tough in those 4th and 1s and can get that yard as on the quarterback sneak. Like, I just love the brand of football and the marriage of Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. We've been saying that since the beginning, and I love seeing it come to fruition. That said, this team's got a hard run the next 5 games. Baltimore coming up
Yep.
at home. On the road, back-to-back, at Atlanta, at Kansas City. Then they come home for what I think will probably be a breather game against Tampa Bay. I don't see Tampa rebounding at this point.
I also
They're
don't believe in the Falcons just got absolutely punked by the
well,
Broncos. So I don't
they
know
did.
if that's a tough game either. But Ravens, yes.
Jekyll and Hyde, Atlanta. That was a fun pick for me last week, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
And and then Denver at home, proving to be an incredibly tough team. Defense doing well. We'll get to their quarterback situation in a moment, but that's a tough 5-game stretch as we look down towards the end of the season for him or for them. Sorry. Obviously, Baltimore, Kansas City, Denver, the 3 tough ones there. Really curious as to what's going to happen with this team. You could easily see them going maybe 3-2 on the stretch, putting them at 10-5 in a great spot to go get a playoff or to be in playoff contention, be in that position. But just kind of curious how maybe those last 2 games become not just kind of important, they become incredibly important in the playoff picture. And that's travel or home that first round. It can make all the difference for you. But yeah, we'll see who they are against Baltimore. Baltimore really needs to solidify themselves. They are not a lock, as we know in that division. How's that game shaping up, by the way?
Dude, the Browns are marching down the field, 1 minute and 20 seconds left, second and goal. Browns are down by 1, so they are in a position to score points either way, and they're going to try and probably bleed this clock, kick a field goal, not even give Pittsburgh a chance. They're at like the 2 right now.
So what you should do right now, is it first down?
Second down. Chubb just got it to the 2.
Okay, and
Second and goal.
how many timeouts does Pittsburgh have?
They have 1. The clock is now at 1 minute. They are just trickling it down. And off to Chubb. Chubb is in. Touchdown.
I was just saying, they're going to let him score.
Yeah.
All right.
They have
Chubb
to.
is in. Chubb is in. So they just scored. So that'll be a minute and a little bit, maybe a minute 2. Oh, no, 57 seconds.
Yeah, if Pittsburgh doesn't pull
They have
this
to go
out,
score a touchdown.
they got to score a touchdown now.
Yep.
They don't pull this out. Baltimore has a chance to gain one, obviously, this week. You already know they were going to come. I mean, they're going to come out and punch you in the mouth anyway. But let's not forget this is the Harbaugh Bowl this weekend.
Yep.
This coming week.
Super Bowl
I am super
47
pumped for that one.
rematch.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I got that one right.
Yeah, which we have that in our pick, and we'll discuss it a little bit more later. But
one thing about the Chargers, though, like it just speaks to the level of coaching when they are on paper an objectively worse team, and they are a better football team. Like they are just a better football team, even though on paper, like you said, they've lost essentially their entire pass catching room, and here they are, 7-3, vying for a playoff spot, winning those games that they didn't last year. Jim Harbaugh's legit. And coach of the year for sure.
Heck yeah.
So I know it's given the lead a little bit, but just gonna say it right there.
That's fine. That's fine. I think it's a runaway right now, personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's another name I want to debate in that when we get there, but it's been for sure a little bit of a runaway at the moment. We're gonna get to it right now. My least favorite game of the week. And I'm gonna lament a little, but also give Grant room to be excited. But I do need the opportunity to lament, and I know
it's a spiritual thing. Lamenting is a spiritual thing.
What's funny is when I'm down, Mike is up, so he's probably going to be in a better mood about this than I am. And I'm gonna be sad a little bit. So anyway, 49ers lost to the Seahawks 20-17 this week. I watch, of course, every moment of every game. The losses I only watch once because I can't bear it a second time. But I will go back and watch a lot of highlights post wins, and it has been the worst. I mean, since 2020, I've had a pretty good time watching football. Genuinely had a pretty good time. 49ers have been a team that's been after it, has played in said Super Bowl and NFC Championship games, so there's been a lot to cheer for. This has been rough, like 2020 was in so many ways, because the 49ers, again, have been massacred like they were that season by the injury bug. And I'm not going to just place all blame on said injury bug, but I am going to say it has been so brutal week to week to week. This is a team that's lost so many players and not been able to play with a consistent wide receiver core, running back room, linebacker unit, defensive line. Charvarius Ward obviously missing time after the unfortunate passing of his daughter.
Yeah.
In the secondary, multiple safeties going out with injuries. This and let's not even, I mean, the kicking game. We've had what 4 dudes kick field goals for us this year, and we've got 2. We're now into 2 punters after this last week, so it's so frustrating. And I didn't even mention George Kittle being out. So frustrating to watch a team that not play together and get into situational football where they just can't get it done. They've lost every game by 1 score. They've lost now 3 games in last possession by the other team. And that defense has not been able to get it done. This week, if you were watching all 4 quarters, you watched Nick Bosa just have his way on the field for 3 quarters. I mean, dude was pushing back pretty consistently, obviously hurt. But you watch that impact, especially about midway through the second quarter into the third quarter, and then all the way till the last 2 drives there when he had to sit in the fourth. And there was just nothing that Seattle line could do to literally stop him. Comes off the field, and Geno could have walked to the end zone.
I mean, he pretty much did in that last play.
I mean, they literally could not do anything to penetrate and hold him in. They were dropping the linebackers consistently. You watch 6 drop into coverage, if not 7, 3 straight plays in a row. They were hoping to get pressure off the defensive line, couldn't do it. And credit to Geno for taking advantage of what the Niners gave him on that left side. I don't know that we could have done a better job leaving it open for him. That was just brutal, but he saw what was there, took it, and like you said, was able to walk in. So as a 49er fan, just so disappointing to watch the injuries mount and for this team to just not be able to play consistently. But I do got to say one thing, which has been brought up once before on the show, and it really does bother me quite a bit. The 49ers have to figure out how to score points in the red zone. This team has kicked so many field goals inside the red zone. It's absolutely brutal, and settled for so much because of penalties on key down and distance that have pushed them back and made them unable to execute and get 6 on the board. And as a 49er fan, it's just truly disappointing to watch that happen. Now, I can blame it on several things. Brandon Ayuk out for the season, George Kittle missing time, Christian McCaffrey not playing for 10 weeks straight, 9 weeks straight. And that was all of that contributes to bad execution in the red zone. Your studs aren't playing. It's hard to score. I get it. Brock making some questionable choices at times certainly is a component there. But I also got to push back and just say, as much as I love Kyle Shanahan, there has been a lot of iffy play calling on first and second down that puts Brock in situations where it's scramble and make a play. And if Brock can't make a play on third and whatever, usually 6, 7 or more because of these penalties, then it looks like Brock is the problem. It looks like, we don't have all of our studs. That's the problem. First and second down, key down and distance, watch the 49ers often go to these RPOs in first and second down. And you can tell that the design, yes, has a run option attached to it, but usually is meant to get Brock out and moving and have him throw the ball first and second down. Well, where do you get most of those holding penalties? Where do most of them come from? Movement by the quarterback outside the pocket on a design. Happens all the time. Wide receiver or a backup tight end or a tackle just trying to seal a spot on the outside, that's what gets the call. and it's happened consistently for the 49ers inside the 20. I would love to see them just run the stinking ball in the red zone and get 6 on the board. We need to stop being so tricky and just run the ball up the middle once you get inside the 20. That was my frustration this week, was them just unable to do that instance. I also don't understand why Jordan Mason's not playing football.
Yeah.
I love Christian McCaffrey, but he's coming back from missing a ton of time. And it is not wise that you are not letting Jordan Mason run the ball after he was quite literally leading the NFL in rushing yards week to week outside of Derrick Henry for most of the season that Christian McCaffrey was gone. Obviously, Saquon came on and took that number 2 spot, but he was in the
top 3.
Yeah. He was in the top 3, and he finished his time as the number 4 yards rushing back or running back in the league before Christian came back. That just drives me nuts that he's not playing football right now. And when you need runs and you just need fresh legs, why is CMC taking literally 90+% of snaps coming off a double Achilles injury? Doesn't make a lot of sense. I'd love to see those two things change. They got to score in the red zone. Christian's got to come off the field at some point for the offense. And then on the defensive side, you just got to have everybody out there, dude. Dre Greenlaw's got to play football. Like, you can slow play it all you want, but if that dude's not on the field in the next 2 weeks, your season's shot, because Campbell can't cover anybody at all, ever, and has missed more tackles than anybody on the team. And while he has some flash plays in the run game, dude, it's like just dead space out there next to Fred Warner, who's right now the best linebacker in the league. So, yeah, man, the health thing, all that, it contributed. But, props to the Seahawks for staying in there, taking what was given to them. That was their first win in how many games, Grant?
The last one was against the Falcons. They went to, I think, because of the bye week, like 3 weeks.
No, I meant against us.
Oh, 7 games, including the playoffs. 6, not including. So it's been like 3 years.
Yeah.
So
no, it was a heck of a job. Your coach is doing a great job. I thought the way that they reorganized the linebacker unit was great. I thought that was something the Niners should have taken better advantage of, with just the lack of playing together. They didn't seem to attack the linebackers at all. So credit to the coaching staff and how they organized them. And genuinely credit to Witherspoon for having an incredible game, by the way.
Yeah.
There was,
Juwan Jennings had a great game, all things considered, but
sure.
And had a lot of impressive catches, but they were all contested catches. Our guys were always blanketed him, or right there to stop the tackle. Well, that is it. Real quick, the Browns get the dub against the Steelers. Browns do it. So
you can see that coming.
I got in. Okay. That's
just
getting interesting over there.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I know that was boring, but I just needed to lament.
Yeah.
I don't care what any of you think.
Yeah. No, Mike, you go ahead. You go ahead. And I actually want to ask you guys questions, because this is kind of where I want to sit tonight.
That's fine. Is I pounded the table, and Matt can tell you this. I pounded the table for weeks leading up to the trade deadline. We need another defensive end. I don't even care what you guys pay for him. Go get another defensive end. The Lions did it, right? They could have gotten the same guy.
Yep.
When you have Bosa playing 86% of the snaps, you have Floyd playing 65% of the snaps, more snaps than he's played the past 3-4 years of his career, right? Floyd's out there more than half the time. That's not why you brought him in. You brought him in to be the rotation guy.
Yeah.
And at the trade deadline, you just let it go. You brought in a defensive tackle who's going to help out because we're so injured, but it's not a defensive end. And when Bosa's out there, he's out there injured. You can see that he's out there injured. And he's got an oblique injury, he's got a hip injury. As the season goes on, it's just going to get worse and worse. And you need that guy healthy, and you need him to be playing 70%, not 86% of the time. And that's just the way. And then the injuries are terrible. Our wide receivers have the lowest yardage of separation average in the league this year. They're averaging 2.2 yards of separation. It's the lowest in the league. The next lowest is 2.7. Our receivers are not getting separation. It we miss Brandon Ayuk, although he wasn't doing great when
And
he went out.
that
Like
and
it's
last year
just
he
there's
led
just
the
some
league in
problems.
separation.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy's been running for his life. He's been getting hit regularly. He's having to hold on to the ball longer than he's used to because there's no separation. And
Jake Brendel can go find a McDonald's to run next year. For the love of God, he has got to be a bottom three center in the league. That guy sucks so bad. Every stinking play. If you want to get Olayed and go murder Brock Purdy, just line up over center. Just line up over center and go, hey, look over there, and start running. Like, dear God, he sucks.
so there's a lot to take in. And I mean, I talked to you guys about the graph. I sent it to you in the text where the Niners are more than double points lost due to penalties this year of any other team in the league.
Brutal.
It's crazy, and that the rest of it is injuries, whatever. But that part, that's coaching. When you have penalty problems like that, that is 100% coaching. There's something going on between the players and the coaches. The players don't have the fire that they've had the last couple of years. You're not seeing them out there with the boom box and the chains, and you just don't see any of that right now. There's something going on. With that said, the Niners are right where they have been almost every single year the past like 4 years.
I know. I keep saying it, dude, but like Grant's gonna ask the question. So I want him to ask the question because
Go
I
ahead.
I know what my answer is gonna be when he says it. But yes, we keep saying that and I keep trying to be hopeful. But after that specific loss,
Sorry.
it
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel good at all. That's a game they should have won, no problem.
Yeah.
Should have won. They should have at the very least been able to kick a field goal that would have put it or would have made it a tie game, at the end there. Like at the very least, and yet another penalty pulled them out of field goal range on that previous drive before the Seahawks scored the clincher. So Grant asked the question so that we can
Well,
get pissed and then talk about things that I want
nah,
to talk about
I
tonight.
mean, I'm not the guy that, comes in and gloats like crazy. Like, obviously, I sent a text. I just sent in all caps Gino, and then that picture of him striding the end zone with some 49er player laying face down.
It's one of the
Um,
corners, yeah.
yeah. Because that was just an objectively funny picture to me, of course. No, I mean,
What's the Saints one where the dude's diving in the background
oh
and
yeah,
scored the
yeah,
touchdown?
yeah. It's
Yeah,
essentially that. It's that. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, well, I mean, first I'll say, I mean, uh, there's not been a more cathartic win as a Seahawks fan since the Geno Week 1 against Russ, beating Russ. This was the best win the Seahawks have had, in terms of like what it's meant. Um, this is second to that. So yeah, obviously, I had my rant when they lost to them, losing 7 in a row. I mean, Gino talked about all this week how personal this one was. Like he's like, like it's done. And I did have a feeling like I obviously we didn't really talk about the game much, but I was like, dude, it's gotta like this can't continue, like no matter how good a team is or how bad a team is in these divisional games, man, like when you've got a team, I mean, Clowntown, like the Jaguars will get a
Yeah.
game on a team, even when they're terrible. And I don't think the Seahawks are terrible. I just don't think they're that good.
A team
Um,
named the Colts like every stinking
yeah,
time.
kept them out of the playoffs. Like when they needed that game to get in the playoffs. Like so, like I there was an inkling in me that was like this. They could win this game, and I wouldn't be completely shocked. Um, I mean, Gino played great. I mean, he played great in the last 2 minutes. He didn't have that great of a game, but like what I had said last week, like Mike McDonald knows what he wants from his defense. Like being willing to cut your starting linebacker who's leading the team in tackles, because you don't like what he's doing, and then you go out and I mean, for all intents and purposes, have the best defensive performance of the season against Kyle Shanahan. Like it was their best defensive performance, and they kept the overall numbers down. You held them to 17 points. It was 270 yards ish, right? Isn't that what the Niners got? It was
I
something
do
like
not
that.
know.
I think
That's
it
my
was.
bad.
I
I
think it
don't
was
know.
barely sub 300. Like so, like they and all intents and purposes had a great game on defense. One, well, they didn't win the turnover battle, but got a turnover. Those kinds of things. Again, all those choices that Mike McDonald has made have panned out. He's gotten better production than what he had before when he puts a guy in, cuts a guy, trades a guy, all that stuff. Um, anyway, the thing that I've always been interested about the Niners, and I haven't been able to really bring this up much because they've won, in spite of, um, a lot of their core of their players. Christian McCaffrey for a while was Jimmy Garoppolo, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Nick Bosa. Like a lot of these guys that they have built around, like their core of their guys, like have a history of injuries, and like I just have wondered, like, do you think that is finally like catching up to them? Because like in 2020 it was injuries. Like there's always guys that go down. They've built around these guys who consistently miss time. Like like Nick Bosa will miss a couple games. George Kittle is always good to miss at least like 3 games a season, it feels like. Christian McCaffrey before coming to San Francisco was out for essentially two full seasons, 2 straight seasons. um do you feel like them building around, excuse my dog in the back there, I'm trying to block her.
You're
Hey,
good.
do you think that them building around these guys who do have this history issue, like, do you feel that is finally like the, what's the term? I don't know, like the, it's finally due. It's finally come due for them. That's one question I have.
I think it's the NFL that you live in right now
Sure.
that does that. I mean, name an NFL star positional player outside of quarterback that doesn't miss time.
Sure.
That's just absolutely the NFL that we're in, and these guys do play an insane amount of snaps.
Hmm.
It's Debo, it's Ayuk, it's Kittle, it's CMC.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings usually plays somewhere between 50 and 70% because they go to those three wide looks often, whenever Juice isn't playing.
Yeah.
When he's in, that's pretty typical. Um, but I just think that that's the NFL you play in. DK misses time. Stephon Diggs is out for the year right now.
Sure.
Devonta Adams misses time every year. You just go run through it, and a lot of star guys miss time. Saquon misses time. We could go team to team to team, and I think all those guys miss time. But I think the 49ers have been hit worse than most teams in that regard.
But I
Some
guess
of that is
my question
some of
is
that's
like,
age, though.
well, and
Some
that's
of
my
it's
other thing. Like,
they're the fourth oldest team in the league.
yeah, I mean,
So
McCaffrey's, is he clipping 30 next year? It's like 29.
he's 28.
He's 20. Okay, so I mean, so he's getting there. 30 is
Yeah,
like
he
the
was
number.
he was 21 when he got in the league.
Yeah,
So
but like 30 for a running back, that's where you see it decline.
yeah, it's the death sentence.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
George, he's 30,
He's
31.
30.
Yeah, so he's up there.
He turned 30 this year.
Debo's on the older side for when he was drafted, though. Also, right? Isn't he? I
Yes,
think
because he was a 4-year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's just some stuff I just question, like them paying a lot of these guys like top of the tier money. And again, I have this conversation because they haven't won the Super Bowl, right? If they had won one, in the span, you don't care, right? That's what Jameson's at.
Yes, but I would say that you also don't care when they get you there. And these guys got us there 3 times in a row to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
4 times in 5 years.
But at the end of the day, do you guys care because you're fans overall? Yeah. Like, I'm just thinking, like, right? Because it's always like, if you don't win the Super Bowl, who cares? No one cares who the second team was for the most part.
But that's all. But to me, it's all situational. The first time this happened, we got there with a quarterback who genuinely couldn't finish the game, and that proved to be true about who he was. As much as I was a defender of Jimmy G, and all he does is win games, blah blah blah.
He didn't win that one.
He just couldn't finish certain games.
Yeah.
Also would have loved to see a certain receiver die for that ball.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I mean, and then Jimmy got us back to another NFC Championship before going out permanently with the injury, giving way to Brock. In that NFC Championship, we lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions in the Rams, who had, in all of our minds, one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time just take over the end of a game.
The best defensive player of this generation.
Yes. I don't have a problem with that, of his generation. Sure. I don't have a problem with that statement, though there's some who would be slightly comparable, but I don't disagree with it. And then, when Brock Purdy comes in, gets injured the next year in the NFC Championship game, brutal. And then last year, drove them to the brink. We watched an incredible Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
And this is a team that's been almost good enough many times and just hasn't had the components. But if you look at what each of those seasons, there was just a thing here or there. Remember how young Bosa was the first time they go to the Super Bowl.
This is rookie year, second year.
Yeah, this is rookie year.
Yeah.
So he goes to the Super Bowl, and you look at the situations of having a Jimmy G that can't finish games. And then you go to Brock's injury. You come to last year and Drake Greenlaw, the Achilles in the Super Bowl. He
walking
was
to start playing on that drive. Yeah.
And it's just been, you're right when you bring up injuries, but it has been situational why they haven't crossed the finish line. And really, like, I'm starting to question Kyle Shanahan here. Like, you hear yourself say some of that stuff as a fan. Yeah, we need those results, and I get frustrated. But at the same time, this guy's given me so much to hope for. This team's so well constructed. You asked me at the beginning of the year, or you were trying to make the point in our preview episode, and you were like, this team didn't get any better. I remember you saying that multiple times, where the team didn't get better. And I said then, this team doesn't need to get better. And I still believe that statement, but this team, to your point tonight, does need to be healthy. You cannot win football games without health. Yeah. And so this team is hopeful to make the playoffs at this point, hopeful to make noise, but so much has to come right for them in the weeks to come that I'll be happy with a playoff appearance this year and a reload in the offseason.
Yeah, so go for it.
I would add to that is the Niners have played more games in the last 4 years than any other team.
Sure.
Including the Chiefs. Because they've been they started 2 of those years in wild card positions, right?
Right.
So, and the Chiefs get a bye every year.
It's good.
So, and these guys are getting older, and they've played more games than anybody else, and they play a style of football that is going to get you hurt. I mean, Kittle talks about this all the time. Bosa talks about this all the time. Williams talks about this. Like, the way they play games, the way Deebo Samuel plays games, he's going to get hurt. Like, they all know they're going to play hurt because they leave everything on the field. That is just their mentality. That's their coaching style. That's the way these guys have always wanted to play the football game. There's nobody on this team that's going to sit on the sideline because they're tired, a la Richardson, right? Like, it just doesn't happen. If they're on the sideline, they're hurt. And there are times where people have taken Kittle's helmet away because he wants to go back in. Like, and he's hurt. And the staff's like, you cannot go back in.
They did it to Bosa on Sunday.
Yeah, like these guys won't stop. If you don't make them, they won't stop. And that's the mentality they have. And it's catching up to them because some of them are getting old. I mean, this week I turned 40 years old yesterday. That was my birthday. And I can feel it, right? And some of these guys are getting into the 30s and they're playing. I mean, I stopped playing football when I was 24, I think. And oh man, like it was starting to get hard then. Like, I'm just like, I can't imagine playing. What is it? 90. They're at 90 games in the last 4 years.
A lot of games.
That's a lot of football.
That's a lot
of football. Yeah. And you're just like, how do you keep up with that? Yeah. How do you
I don't think you can
from that. How do you? Yeah,
And they're showing
30 years old, 32 years old. Like, you can't. Like, and to the point you brought up, Grant, is they didn't get better. I mean, they did because their draft class has hit. By the way,
Mustafa's legit.
Dude, Mustafa's legit. Dominic Pooney
is an all-pro.
Everybody's gonna know forever. That guy is incredible at right guard. He's probably going to be a right tackle after this season. And they're going to go.
I can assume easily, yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, they hit on their draft picks. Pearsall's looking decent, but he missed so much time because he got shot in the chest, right? And like,
it was bad.
I don't know why I keep laughing at that, but it's objectively like so wild. It's just objectively wild.
Yes,
and but that means, has he been able to be? And part of the problem that you also got to look at this is the injuries are a huge deal. Is that the receivers have not had any time with Brock Purdy this year? Like, they're missing. Samuel missed games, and then Jennings missed games.
Ayuk held out all off season.
Yeah, Ayuk held out all off season, and so there's our number one receiver this year has been Kittle, who didn't miss any time until just like this last, and he's been the number one tight end in the league, right? And so you're just, especially for touchdown catches, and you're just like, okay, so the guy that he has a rapport with is the guy that's getting the ball, and the rest of them aren't getting any kind of separation because, and 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 Purdy's not necessarily trusting them because they haven't played together much this year. So you're seeing these dynamics, right? Injuries,
Yeah.
and there is a coaching problem, and I think that's the problem with the Niners right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the question is, Matt, you kind of alluded to it, was, are you said hopeful, you know, where, what would you put the chances of the 49ers making the playoffs? Because obviously their
Well,
schedule's insane. They've got the Packers and Bills the next 2 weeks.
yeah,
Um, they're 1-3 in the division at this point. Every team has beat them at least once now. So they're hopeful for splits in all of those. That's what they're hopeful for.
hmm
Um, what would you put their chance of making? Because like at this point, because the way it all looks, you have to get in the playoffs by winning the division. Like I, that's at this point, that's kind of where things are going with the Packers, with the Vikings, and the Lions, all at least at 7 wins. Um, they're probably getting in. Like I'm banking on those. So the path to get to the playoffs is the division. How do you think this
yeah.
goes?
So
And I guess I can ask both of
currently,
you. Either one of you can answer,
yeah,
but
on the math, they have a 24% chance right now to make the playoffs. You beat the Packers, that goes up by 30%. It becomes a 54% chance to make the playoffs. So this game this week is absolutely vital. As you brought up, they're playing the Bills the week after. Then you've got a couple division games, and not really brutal after the Bills. They got to play the Bears as well. I remember that one. And they're
They're the
closing out.
Lions.
Yeah, they do. Oh, that's right. They do have the Lions. And then they're closing out against Arizona and what will undoubtedly, in my mind, undoubtedly be a very, very decided game. Could end up being for the division if things shake out a certain way. But no, this game's incredibly important this week. And I agree with where the stats are trending. So this one to me, probably the biggest deal. You can afford those other two losses if you win those division games and beat the Bears, and those other two losses being possibly the Bills and the Lions. You absolutely could sustain those two losses and still take a division at 10-7 if you can get Arizona in that last game.
well,
But
the
the math
Seahawks will have to help you out too.
that's true.
Beat them.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I mean, we're all waiting for Arizona to just start screwing up. So I think that's pretty likely. Like, I still feel really confident they're just going to drop off, and this comes a 2-horse race either with the Rams or the Seahawks towards the end of the season. That's what I feel like is going to happen because of like every year before this, almost ever outside of Kurt Warner playing in Arizona and a couple of Carson Palmer years. Like
That's
just,
The Cardinals
that's
are the
pretty much
redheaded
what they do.
stepchild.
Yeah, it's been that way for now over 10 years. So whatever. But yeah, it's an incredibly important game, and I don't I'm not like discouraged to the point of, oh no, the season's over, but I am at this point where like, hey, we just can't afford to do anything dumb at this point.
The
You got to
margin
win
is
games.
thin. Yeah.
Yeah, the margin's
Well,
absolutely thin. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
with the Packers at 7-3, if they lose to the Niners this week, the reason that percentage changes so much is because now the Niners have that wild card tiebreaker with
Yeah,
the Packers,
Right.
right?
right.
And so that's why this week is more vital than a loss to
I
the
mean,
Bills.
yeah, if they lose,
Yeah.
season over. Like
It's like
I'm
it drops to like down to like a 10% chance, something like that.
like
Yeah.
I will call it their season over if they don't win this Sunday.
I would feel very good about calling that, especially since you have the Cardinals. The rest of their games, the hardest game they have is the Vikings. The rest of the way, like they finished last in the division.
They still have to play
last year.
the Panthers and Patriots.
Yeah.
Panthers,
And here,
Patriots, Seahawks twice. Like they have an easier road against compared to anyone else in this
Yeah,
division
That's
because
true.
they finished last year. So they're playing all the other last place teams from last year. So it it just makes an easier path. The Niners have to win out. They can still get a wild card spot here. But I wanted to say that this is right where the 49ers are always at this time of year. I mean, when just a few years ago, the first time we went and played the Chiefs, I think they started 4-5. Then they came back and won the wild card games and went straight to the Super Bowl. Um, they lose a chunk of like 5 games, 3 or 4 to 5 games in the middle of the season every year. And for whatever reason, Shanahan grabs this team back up, puts them on the field, and they come out and win 10 games. It just feels like that's probably what's going to happen again. I think the Niners can push to win enough games to get a wild card. I don't know if they can win this division. And I'm looking at the rest of these Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, Packers, and one team from the South. Like there could be a wild card team from the West if the Cardinals and Niners, both do really well the rest of the way. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking at. I'm not giving up on my Niners, but this week is a absolute must win in Green Bay.
Snowing right now over there.
Snowing right
it's
now,
cold and nasty.
Yep.
and
Which
and our
we
and our
do
team's not
run the
home.
ball better typically. So
Yeah.
I mean, it'll really put a lot on CMC. It'd be interesting to see if Shanahan, does what I think so many 49ers fans want him to do and puts Mason out on the field. And, we just try and let Brock maybe pass 20 times, and clamp down here with the run game. But,
And
I don't.
that's what worries me though, is the Packers are running the ball as good as anybody in the league right now. I mean,
Sure.
they really are. Josh Jacobs is an animal, and they're running through people. That's how they're winning their games the last several weeks.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Jordan Love
the
isn't
two
turning the
Malik
ball.
Willis
Yeah.
games, the two Malik Willis games. I mean, they just went ham, went all out in the in those games. And they, by the way, have been a pretty stinking healthy team this year, and their offensive line finally is healthy, and so we're seeing some results, a lot of good results for them based on that specifically. But I don't want to. I know we've been on the 49ers Seahawks matchup and then on the 49ers for a while, so I don't want to beat it to death. But that will be an incredible game, and we'll get back to it just in a little bit when we do pick them. So we'll go ahead and jump down the line here. Are we at midseason awards, guys?
I think so. Yeah, at this point.
Okay.
I mean, we're definitely past midseason, but
well, let's just get into it real quick. Run through it. As best we can. I know for a few of these awards, we probably feel really strongly about some obvious standouts. But let's jump into first Coach of the Year. We all feel pretty strongly about Harbaugh.
I already said it, so that's mine.
Mike, do you feel also pretty strong about Harbaugh?
That's my guy. I literally, I'm racking my head, and I can't think of another coach that has just come in and kicked off some of the excess money, and then just the team got better.
I have another one, but I wonder if Matt's going to say it.
I have two.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that Kevin McConnell definitely deserves a mention for this award right now. Losing the quarterback in the draft. Or that he took in the draft in J.J. McCarthy to a season-ending injury before things got started for him, and then winning games as they have, several of them without Justin Jefferson in the lineup, rebooting the run game, that defense, and I understand he's got a great coaching staff and a defensive coordinator who probably will be taking one of these head coaching jobs because there might be, we need to get to it eventually, 7 or 8 of those available next year.
Yeah.
But I think he deserves an obvious mention. You could name 3. Do we not name a guy in Detroit? Do we not?
I mean you have to.
But we kind of expect. Well, we expected it out of them. Like we knew that this is what this team was going to be.
Do we not name a guy in Kansas City?
I think more than that. Granted, they just lost tonight, but Mike Tomlin's done a heck of a job.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, sitting Justin Fields after going 4-2
and getting better production. Yeah, I mean,
right. And do we not say what we don't want to say? Do we not say it? I know we don't want to say it. because he's out of his freaking mind.
Oh,
The Eagles
Mr.
are
Baldman.
winning games.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Sirianni, I don't understand.
I don't know
how
what
they
he
do it.
does. I don't know what he does
He yells a lot
at his own fans.
at his own fans.
Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like they've got an offensive coordinator, they got a defensive coordinator. Um, what does this guy do?
I don't know what he does, but I gotta say, I mean, there's several good candidates here. There really are.
Yeah.
Sirianni has those guys humming. I understand they probably are in that consideration for executive of the year because Howie is unreal. Getting
Always
Saquon
is.
was a brilliant move. That guy is a great builder of teams and bringing in just those right pieces, personnel.
Dude, I wish.
Yeah.
Dude, I think every team. I think pretty much all teams would rather have Howie Roseman than their guy. Than
Mike and I really like who we have.
Yeah.
We do.
I think
But-
John Schneider's great too. But overall, though, like 30-ish teams or so would swap out
Yeah,
their guy
Oh, dude.
for Howie Roseman.
he is awesome. But no, I mean, there's just some good candidates. I think right now, I think this, as much as I want to say Harbaugh, I think this goes to Detroit right now.
Okay, that's
That because and it's been building to this.
yeah.
It's been building to this, but man, you cannot deny how they have come out and just destroyed people at times. And
Yeah.
God, I've never seen a dude call his shot the way he has and just built a culture so well. I mean, I don't remember a whole lot of teams that love each other the way that team loves each other,
That's true.
and for them to not miss a step, after Hutch goes out. Who, by the way, is still in like 4th place for sacks, and he broke his leg like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy. So, to me, that's where it goes right now, and I would say Harbaugh is a close second, and Andy Reid right there, and then probably Sirianni is my 4th. And I just want to mention McConnell because I do think he's a heck of a coach.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Next up, we've got comeback player of the year. I'll go. I think there's 2 options. I really do. But I'm gonna have to go Joe Cool. This award really is like Bengals suck. That defense is terrible. This award really is about the individual. Like it does not matter how good of a team you have around you. Joe Burrow, I think, has 27 touchdowns. I think already. Like Burrow's lighting it up, and there's still like 6 games left. So he's gonna clip over 30. Playing great. The offense isn't the problem.
Probably 40.
He might clip 40. So like bro's legit. He's back to what he was when he led that team to a Super Bowl a few years ago. So yeah, I gotta give it to Burrow.
I saw what you just did, Mike.
It popped into my head.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but I feel like that could be an executive or whatever. That's just a putting it together thing.
He wrote Dan
That's-
Quinn as
that's
coach
a-
of the year.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
did.
I was just gonna say let's save the conversation for another night, maybe when we get towards the end of the season. But
So for comeback, I'll just jump right. Yeah. So for comeback, I'm with Burrows too. He leads the league in yards right now. He's had a great comeback this year. Cousins struggled out the gate, first couple games,
And has had some ugly games.
and he has some really bad games, and then he has like a really good game. You're like, oh, Kirk Cousins, I know who you are. But Burrows is come back as Burrows, and he's playing really well. And this defense just lets him down, and he gets sacked way too many times. It's the same exact Cincinnati problem they've always had. And he hasn't even had both his receivers the whole year.
Nope.
So
that's fair.
And
That's
it's
fair,
just Burrows. It's Burrows' award for me at this point. That's just my take.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to add anything. I'm just going to agree with you guys. As much as I want to say Cousins, that's a Jekyll and Hyde team that really does rise and fall on his arm every week. And I love watching Kirk Cousins succeed. There are a few things more awesome than watching that white guy make
Kirko
himself
Chains
on a private jet after a road win. But Now Burrow's been slaughtering teams, so they just had a halfway decent defense. It's probably a 7-win team right now. So our next one is offensive player of the year, which is typically the non-quarterback MVP.
The player with the most yards.
For me, it's a no-doubter, boys. This is King Henry all day, and that's not a knock to the other guy that I know is going to get mentioned in a moment. But King Henry has been consistently in the yards lead. He is in the right offense for him. That dude is going to be buying his offensive line some Rolexes at the end of the year because he's going to hit that 2,000-yard clip. And we've already declared him a Hall of Famer this season, and all he's doing is making me look real good on that call out. So, King Henry for Player of the Year on the offensive side.
I want to go against that and say Saquon Barkley, but I don't believe it in my heart, right? I think Barkley's had flashier plays. I think he's been a little more fun to watch.
Sure.
But King Henry is that inevitable force. Like he is, he's Thanos. He is inevitable. Like he just gets you and gets you and gets you. And he's not
Grant loves that.
like I don't other he's King Henry and he's just getting it done.
Yeah.
And he still has breakaway plays from time to time. But I mean this could end up Saquon could still end up with a lot of yards. And his flashy plays could get some of these voters to push him to the top. But I think King Henry deserves it.
I'm going to be contrary.
Of course you are.
Saquon. I'm going Saquon. Bro's only got 50 less rushing yards. He's only got 50 less.
That's true.
He's only got 50 less. What Saquon is doing for the Eagles, I feel like is more impactful because the Ravens already had a great rushing game last year. Now, it was a mix of a bunch of different people. It was Dobbins, it was Edwards, it was Lamar, it was the three of them. And he's kind of turned that into the one in King Henry. But Saquon has made this offense, like, they are, and I agree there with Derrick Henry too, but I feel like almost like the impact that Saquon has had for the Eagles is exponentially more than Derrick Henry. So he's only got 50 less rushing yards. I only have the rushing yards. I don't have the receiving yards, but I would have guessed that Saquon has more.
He absolutely has a lot more.
Yeah, and so I think over in total yards, he's got more. Henry does have the more touchdowns, but I just think the value that he has brought to the team is greater for Saquon than Henry with the Ravens. And that's no slight on Henry because he's incredible and he is the king. Yeah. But like the Ravens still had a great rushing attack last year without Derrick Henry.
I think talk to me. Obviously, we're doing midseason awards, and I don't mind you being the contrarian, but I think it will be a talk to me after week 18 scenario here, just because downhill run. End of the year, they're fighting for a home game that first round. And I just think that dude is going to be all the difference that they need. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and Saquon at some point, if they clinch the one in the NFC, Saquon's going to sit too, and that could hose him in the conversation. So
sure,
obviously he's willing. He's willing to take some plays off. You guys remember that? Hey, do you want to beat your all-time yards?
He said, "Let the young guys eat."
That's right. We love him for that. We absolutely do.
I love Saquon. He's awesome.
That's true.
But I think statistically he could end up taking himself out of the equation because of their scenario and because of how he is going to they're going to probably play him. I think he's going to start sitting once they hit the double digit or the 14-point marker often towards the end of the year, just because of how many wins they've already racked up. Mm-hmm. Next one is defensive player of the year. Really two standouts. McKinney with the sack lead right now, obvious choice for consideration. And as I said earlier, Fred Warner, best linebacker in the league. This is right now in the NFL, just period. I think that is a strong consensus amongst everybody watching football. But for the moment, I don't like being this guy, but are sacks a little bit overrated? Like,
yes and no.
A little bit.
Um,
I know we champion it as the best defensive staff that there is. We do.
sure.
We do. But I think that when you watch a player that covers sideline to sideline, and I used to advocate for this as a Patrick Willis guy, all these guys would talk about, oh, well, so and so had more tackles than him. And this guy's got all these sacks. And I'm like, do you watch football though? Because there is no more feared player than Patrick Willis in the league in his era. Like, none. Nobody wanted to play that guy. You don't want to see Fred Warner on the other side of the line, period. I would argue that TJ Watt might be the only other guy you want to see as little or less. You could make an argument there. But those, to me, are the two best players on the defensive side of the ball and impact players. I'm just advocating and be a little bit of a homer, and I will freely admit that. But I do think that sometimes we stack up sacks and we go, well, whoever gets the most sacks, that's the defensive
Well,
player of the year.
I mean, that's kind of what it's turned into. If you just look at, I mean, Stephon
Feels
Gilmore
like
won
that.
it in 2018 or 19.
Right.
But outside of that, it's been defensive ends every time.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
and the guy in LA.
yeah, Aaron Donald, yeah, for sure. I mean, I, I mean, I'm torn because obviously I don't want the Niners to win anything ever, but
Sure.
at the same time, like it would be cool to have a linebacker win it. Like I've never really seen a linebacker win it. Um, I'm trying to think the last
Trying to
time
remember
like
who that was.
that'd be cool. Just for the position and to give it more variety, so that way it's not doesn't become just like the MVP is just the quarterback award, which I still think is stupid. Look at the title of the award, most valuable. Who is bringing the most value to a team? Um, but um, yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
I'm gonna sit with that. Mike, you go. I'm gonna sit for a second.
Um,
That's
I like
hilarious.
I like McKinney from Green Bay. He's a safety. He has 6 interceptions. He's got a lot of tackles. I get there's a lot of buzz with him around that, but there's something about Fred Warner and what he's doing for this defense, and he's got so many young players around him, and he's the core of that Niners defense. And he's got interceptions. He's got forced fumbles. He's got tackles. He's got like 80 some tackles already or on the year. Like he's like such a complete player right now, and there's no like single person. I think the Cincinnati guy, there's a Hendricks or whatever is leading sacks
Trey
in
Hendrickson.
Cincinnati. Yeah, like he's got
Yeah.
like 11 and a half sacks. It's like a sack a game at this point. You're
Hutch,
like,
if Hutch was healthy, Hutch would probably be in this
I was
spot.
just gonna say, like if Hutch was healthy, he'd have like 15, 16 sacks right now, and everybody would be all like, he could break the record.
Yeah.
And so he would have been the obvious choice. You can never count out TJ Watt because of the name recognition.
Well,
Um,
and if they're on an end of season run here, who's to say that dude doesn't just
yeah,
go out and strip
yeah.
sack and once a game for the rest of the year? Who knows?
Yeah,
And honestly, a player that I've actually been watching because I've seen several Baltimore games is Roquan Smith has been a baller this year.
Sure,
He
sure.
leads the league in
It's a good
tackles,
mention.
and I don't think linebackers can win this award for whatever reason, even though like they're a captain of the defense and they make so many decisions out there. But between Fred Warner and Roquan Smith, those are the linebackers of the year, and I think you got to mention them both for this position. I honestly, it's so hard to pick this because it usually goes to a defensive lineman that leads in the league in sacks. So it's
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Miles
but I
Garrett
don't
had
think
3
sacks.
tonight, by the way. He now has 10,
Yeah, Miles
so he's 1.5
Miles
Okay.
behind. He's only
Yeah.
at one and a half behind Trey
He'll
Hendrickson.
he's gonna be like third or fourth in the voting because that's just
Yeah,
what he does, right?
yeah,
He's like
Well, and
always up
it's
there.
a lot of it's name recognition, right? We
Sure.
realize that a lot of these names or these people that win are name recognition. So you got to account for that a little bit.
yeah.
My bad for saying McKinney leading the league in sacks. I meant to say interceptions. That's totally my bad. I had to laugh at myself when I was looking down at the sheet there. I'm excited for the next one. Offensive rookie of the year, Grant. Who would you be taking right now?
Bo Nix, baby.
Gosh dang it! Let's go.
Bo
All right,
Nix.
I've been waiting for this all stinking day.
Did I steal your thunder?
Actually, for the last few days. No, it's set up. It's cool. Rookie quarterbacks this season. Okay, we have praised, rightfully so, Jaden Daniels, who currently sits at 2,338 yards passing with 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a completion percentage of 68.7, which is solid. And we have been, again, singing his praises as Washington continues to turn around that franchise. However, I said this to some Bronco fans, late September, who were worried when they were watching their team on the struggle bus with some games.
Oh, well, I mean, Bo Nix didn't
Watching,
throw a touchdown until like week 3.
so there's that,
Yeah,
but I was trying to be reassuring. I'm like, listen, don't panic. It's been a few games. Bo Nix is learning the Sean Payton way, which is one of the hardest ways to learn.
right.
Sean Payton is not an easy coach. He is incredibly demanding. He literally demands perfection out of quarterbacks. And he is not looking for you to be a miracle worker, runner of the ball. He wants you to run his offense and make good decisions and throw accurate passes. And he usually wants you behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, that is what he wants. Take what they give you, but that's what he wants you to do.
Yeah.
And that is different from Bo Nix, who has relied heavily on scramble, make it happen. In Oregon, he had the opportunity to sit in the pocket. That's absolutely true because the Ducks offensive line has been outrageously good for several years. But I was telling these guys, like, just give it some time. Bo is incredible, but he needs to learn it. And when he does, he'll start to excel. Bo Nix is at 2,275 yards passing, roughly about 100 yards less than Jaden Daniels, but he has 14 touchdowns,
Word.
6 interceptions. He is throwing a 65.5. Nothing wrong with that as a rookie.
It's above average.
Absolutely not. And also, both of these guys have 4 rushing touchdowns. Both of them.
So 18 total for Bo Nix.
He's got 18 total already as a rookie. The progression and when you look at stats right now, has him finishing around 30 or just over 30 total touchdowns based on the schedule that they have left, which if you take a look at it, does favor him, especially the next few weeks. He is playing at the Raiders this week, then playing at home on Monday Night Football against the Browns. Then playing an afternoon game against the against the Colts at home. Then he's got a tough test against the Chargers in LA. Then he's got the pathetic Bengals defense, which I would imagine by the second to last game of the year, they are probably sitting Joe Burrow at that point and not trying to risk any injuries because the Bengals aren't doing anything this season. And then he plays the Chiefs in probably a meaningless game for the Chiefs to end the season. I would imagine Chris Jones, McDuffie, Karlaftis, some other guys not playing in that game could get some even better numbers. So if you just look from the numbers standpoint, this looks really good for Bo Nix as you look down the road. These defenses he's got to play. He's literally only got 2 top-tier defenses to play against. Colts pretty middle of the road. Browns have been middle of the road, definitely giving up some chunk plays. And then the Raiders and the Bengals are pathetic. Yeah. And he's not even going to play, most likely, a loaded Chiefs defense, like I said in the last week. So I really like Bo Nix's chances, and that says nothing bad about Jaden Daniels, who we love. And I just was looking through the numbers this week, and I was so pumped to look at that side by side and go, "That's
he won offensive player of the week. 4 touchdowns this week. Had his best game of his career so far. But like again, what I said earlier, like he's done this without throwing a touchdown until like week 3, I believe. It's clicking for him. Like having that experience, like starting as many games as he did in college, held the record until Dylan Gabriel just took it just like 2 weeks ago. Like starting the most amount of games in college, like it pays dividends, man. Like the more reps they get, the more games they play, the more situations they are in, it translates. Like getting guys like getting a guy like Anthony Richardson. I'm not saying the dude's not talented, but the dude has no experience. Like, and
Yeah.
you're seeing what's happening. You're seeing
Trey
it.
Lance.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Boom. Yeah.
Dichotomy, right? Trey Lance, no
yeah,
games.
that's great.
Brock Purdy started for 4 years. And he
Yeah.
came in and took over a team and has success.
Yeah.
Games played matters. Experience matters. I'm going to say I don't disagree with you. I think Nick should take this by the end of the year, but I want it to be Brock Bowers.
That'd be so cool too. A
I
tight
want
end.
this
Come
tight
on.
end.
I'm down with that too.
Brock
Yeah.
That's a
Bowers.
guy.
I
The
want
worst
that
hair in
so
the NFL.
bad.
The worst, absolute worst hair
No,
in the NFL.
as the young kids would say, no aura. No aura whatsoever.
None.
But
He
catches balls.
He's on like one of the worst teams in the NFL, and he is
Terrible quarterback
right up.
play.
Terrible quarterback play, and he leads his team in receptions.
Is O'Connell starting for them right now? I have no idea.
Or it's Minshew. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I still love Minshew.
I
I love him. He's not good at football, but I love him.
Minshew mania.
But yeah, no.
No, I
Brock Purdy's
agree with
great.
you both. I think Knicks is going to get it, and Matt, you're right on every single thing you said. I'm just going to agree with you. But man, I'm like, got my hands up in the air, being like, I want Bowers to win this so bad. I want to see a tight end win.
Your
It won't
head
happen.
says one thing, but your heart says the other.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get off of this, I do want to say this, and I'm not trying to hot take. I just think this is a completely accurate statement. When you look through the potential rookie of the year candidates, and typically they are quarterbacks. As I was looking through stats and been watching these games here in the last several weeks, we mentioned a guy before we came on air that we have enjoyed watching and is having a heck of a season up in New England. I personally believe that Caleb Williams has been the fourth best rookie quarterback this season.
Yeah.
His numbers clearly indicate his lack of consistent performance. And I know we can blame a lot on Shane Waldron, and that's easy to do. Bears did go and score a touchdown this last week. They did not win the game, but they did score a touchdown this last week early.
You did your job.
Finally got across that line, and I want to give him credit for that. But you know what it wasn't? It was not a passing touchdown. Caleb Williams right now has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Okay. It is, what's the date today? We're recording on the 21st.
Yep.
Okay. So on October, I'm going to run this down really fast. I want to make sure I'm accurate here. I don't want to misquote.
Camera's kind of bugging out on us.
October 13th. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think your
I'll just
connection's a little
speak it.
bad.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Can
sometimes.
you hear me okay? All right.
Right now we can.
October 13th, Caleb Williams has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. It's now November 21st. Caleb Williams has 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Yep.
It has not changed.
Nope.
Bro is not getting better. He is playing mid football, 100% like just okay football.
I think mid's kind of generous. Mid means you're average. That's not average. That's bad.
He's the 21st ranked QB in the league, I think, something like that.
It's below average.
It's not great, and to be fair, to your point, Matt, he's got like the best setup for any rookie to come in and have success.
We said it. Yep.
I don't care who your offensive coordinator is. You should be able to get the ball to DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. This is the first year he's not going to have caught 100 balls, and he's missed half of the year at different points and still caught 100 balls.
No, this is easily the best situation a rookie has been in, first round pick, maybe ever. And this is what's happening. So it works in your favor. It's like, hey, you got a good situation, but also the excuses is far less if you don't show up.
He has not thrown a touchdown in 5 weeks.
Yep.
Not one. Anybody else
is
a job right now.
That is a star-packed offense. Star-packed.
Absolutely.
No excuse.
No excuse at all. You've got the run game setting you up consistently. Swifty's been having a good year.
Swifty's playing great.
Forster stayed healthy, and he's getting his, but they cannot consistently get it done through the air. That's why this team stopped winning games and is projected now to finish at the bottom of their division. I just don't get why people didn't see this coming. I literally don't. I have been
You are
banging
vindicated,
drum.
my friend.
I've been banging this drum forever. This guy is not good. He doesn't play well at the end of games, and he literally does not play consistent football. I don't understand what you all saw. I don't get it. He's not a leader. He's not the ideal quarterback size in the NFL. He doesn't have the work ethic that everybody hoped he would. He's not first one in, last one out. That's not who Caleb Williams is. He is just a guy that can throw occasionally pretty well against teams he should beat. He did not change USC's culture. He didn't go win any awards, and you drafted him number one. As much as I love what Pace has done as the GM of this team and constructing it, this was a swing and a miss. Jaden Daniels all day is what you should have done.
Bo Nix
And
all day. Drake May all
sure.
day. At this point.
Oh, okay. But I won't go to the Drake May, but I will say Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels would have a great pick. Jaden Daniels is where I was with it. I know that's where Jameson was 100%. We've been in that camp for a long time. So swing and a miss by the Chicago Bears.
Well, and I think going back to our preview before the draft, we had talked about this. We all knew Caleb Williams was going to be the pick, but I had said it. I was like, I don't know why. Like, he looks like he could be good, but he never proved himself in the college game. He shows he has an arm, but there's some consistency issues there. I didn't like Jaden Daniels because of his ankles. He's got tiny little bird legs,
and he's this wide.
And we'll see how long he lasts. But I never had a problem with Jaden Daniels, and we spoke about he should be, pushing that. So, yeah, no, I agree with you, Matt. That was a good soapbox to be on. Caleb Williams, not great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on. Let's get through these next ones real quick. We've got defensive rookie of the year. I mean, it's got to be Verse from LA, right? I mean, dude's a freaking stud.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like stats, there's nothing to argue.
Yeah.
There's no argument here at all. It's Verse.
Yeah, Verse, and then Lamar again, third time. MVP?
I definitely want to bang the drum for Josh Allen.
It's fair.
Getting it done without a squad.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have no other Pro Bowl selections on his offense.
Yeah.
A Cooper could make it.
One. Who, sorry?
A Cooper could make it.
I don't think he's got the stats to get him there.
He did okay in Cleveland. I know. I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying the numbers game. I think he'll be out just on wide receiver stats because you'd put T. Higgins over him.
That's true.
Well, no, but I think that it might be a people don't want to play. Like they opt out, so then he goes. Like he'll be an alternate. Like he could. I could see that. I mean, dude, Geno got to the Pro Bowl last year, and like he wouldn't have a good year, but it's because of all the guys dropped out. Like,
well, let's just say he's not gonna. He does not have a wide receiver one. He doesn't have a top 10. He doesn't even have a top 15, 17 statistically.
Maybe this is
so I'm looking at it right now.
Someone else can get it.
Khalil Shakir is his number one yardage receiver at 600. That's the 21st receiver in the league for yards. And they're getting it done. So you might be right. They have him and Cooks, man. Cooks could do it, I suppose. But like that's all they got. And they're getting it done. And the guy's putting the team on his back, so get after it.
Yeah. James Cook could, but he needed a little bit of a resurgence. He was doing a lot better towards the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he slowed down a little bit. Yeah. Well, let's move on to our favorite part of the show while we're all here. Week 12 is already here. 3 months of football is come and gone. We have the worst game. This one we had to kind of throw in. We got some good ones, but there's also some really bad ones. So we've got Vikings at the Bears. Matt, who you picking? We just got off the topic of the Bears. I'm going to guess where most of us are leaning to this, but again, we had no real other choice here. So,
big. I mean, it's a big weekend for that division. Speaking of Vikings playing this game, need to get that win against the Bears just in case, so they could either get the leg up or stay even with the Packers. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. So I'm taking the Vikings on the road to beat the Bears.
Cool. Same. Vikings are a good team. Bears aren't. I think that's keep it simple as that. Mike, how about you?
I wouldn't say the Bears aren't. I'm saying that they just I think this is a
won't.
kind of a Charger situation. I think there's enough talent here to be a good team.
I
I
agree.
think they have some coaching issues. And so, but with that being said, the Vikings haven't been playing great football the last 3 weeks, but I'm still going to take the Vikings in this one.
Yeah, I mean they barely
Uh,
did eke out a win against the Jaguars by just kicking field goals.
yeah, that's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's not been good football out of Minnesota, but I I can't imagine the Bears going and winning this game. So
yeah. All right. Well, in our pick'em this week, we have all of the NFC West teams are in our pick'em. There's some good matchups, some important matchups. This might be the most impactful week for the NFC West, in terms of where it's like I think some teams may break away. Like there's opportunity for teams to break away if things go certain ways. But so our game two, Mike, we've got the Eagles at the Rams. Who you got?
this is a must win. Every game for the NFC West is must win this week.
Yep.
Especially our last game pick here. But I'm going to go Eagles. I think the Eagles have gotten stuff together. I think they came out of their bye and they're playing better football. And the Rams haven't been doing it. And I thought they'd be playing better ball and they just haven't been. So I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to as well. For a lot of the same reasons. Also, like I still, even though the Rams did win against a really bad Patriots team pretty handily towards the end there, they had a really terrible game against the Dolphins. Like
Yeah,
just absolutely pathetic. And I still that stench is still on them because beating the Patriots doesn't prove anything. Um, so yeah, I'm good. The Eagles. The Eagles also just have a way better roster. Also,
that's true.
I will say, Quinyon Mitchell for Defensive Rookie of the Year. That dude's also playing really well too.
That's too.
That's pretty
Like
fair.
like I think it's
Yeah.
versing him. You know, 1A,
Hmm.
1B, 1 or 2.
That's a good name to throw in. Yeah.
Yeah. I had forgotten to say that. So Matt, how about you?
I no in-depth thing here, but just I like the Eagles where they're at. You win three out of the next four. You pretty much lock up a one seed here in the NFC. Doesn't look like there's going to be a big challenge to that unless the Lions can just keep it streaking. So I yeah, I'm going to go Eagles. And Rams just aren't that great. So
Yeah.
what it
I
is.
I would agree. All right, Matt. So we've got another one. This one I think we might have. This one's interesting. There may actually be some swinging some different sides here. We've got the Ravens at the Chargers. This is the Harbaugh Bowl. Jim versus John.
In this matchup, I believe it's pretty 50-50. You will remember John winning a Super Bowl against Jim. Uh,
Pass
Was it the
interference.
was that the last was it the last time they played each other?
and, and
Yeah.
I
Oh, I think we're losing Matt here. That's kind of cutting out. So I will go while Matt hopefully figures his thing out. My guess is his camera battery died. Um so Eagles, not Eagles, Ravens at Chargers. I don't think the home field advantage is really a thing in LA. In LA, we've seen that that's not really a thing. So both quarterbacks are playing well. Both teams are coached fairly well. Um, that Ravens secondary is not good, but the Chargers wide receivers are not. They're not world
Great.
beaters either.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a wash. Um, uh, I think I'm gonna go Ravens. I think I just think they have more answers still than the Chargers. Again, no slight to the Chargers. They're playing well. They've won, I think it's four in a row, I think is what they've won. Um, but they got Derrick Henry, and he is the great equalizer. Um,
Yeah.
even though apparently it seems like I just slandered the man. Um, oh, hold on, I'm trying to mess with our stuff here. Um, but yes. So, Mike, how about you? How you feeling?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the. I'm gonna go Chargers at home. They need this win in the AFC. The Ravens. There's something I don't know. They're a good team, but they're just not like last week. They didn't look good. All those
Mm-mm.
Steelers, man, they never play well against the Steelers. I
It
could watch
doesn't
the
really
Steelers and
matter
Ravens
who
play.
was on the field. Yeah.
Yeah, I could watch those two teams play every week. They hate each other no matter who's playing. Um, No, I this just feels like a Chargers game to me. I don't know why. It's hard to articulate.
All
I'm
right.
really high on the Chargers right now. So let's go Herbert. Let's see against
Herbie.
that
Herbie fully loaded.
against the defensive backfield or yeah, the defensive backfield. I
My
think Herbie can have a decent game.
my bad, guys. A little technical oopsie out
No,
here.
you're good. We got it
Uh,
figured out. So
I
we didn't get to hear any of your stuff. So it cut
yeah.
out right when you about to say go into whatever.
So you were correct in your assumption about that being the last time they played each other.
Okay.
So you if you
A
guys
revenge game.
you remember what happens the next year, the 49ers go on a down slope, if you will. Then the year after, the dude starts taking the knee, and Jim Harbaugh is done in San Francisco. So that was their last game against one another. I think John's going to take that one as well. I think it's
Okay.
a repeat of that. The Ravens are in get right mode.
Yeah,
It's
they
been a
need
little
it.
bit up and down, and they need to take advantage of the fact that the Steelers just lost this game to open the week,
Yep.
and this will help them in division play. So I think they definitely go out there and get it, just like where the run game is at in Baltimore, as opposed to what the Chargers have. Their run game's been effective, but obviously the Ravens are much more efficient. And right now, like JK had 2 touchdowns last week, but he did that on like 13 carries and only had like, I don't know, it was like 30 or 40
He
yards.
had the big run.
One big run, right?
Yeah.
So they've just been much more efficient with that. And I think the Ravens can just beat you down with their efficiency in the run game. So like them in this matchup, but it's going to be a stinking close one. I haven't been doing any points for this week, but legit, this should be a 2-pointer. I'm going to go 30-28, or I'm going to actually move that down. Let's go 28-26, just
Okay.
a little bit.
All right. Cool. So Matt, I guess we'll just stick with you.
Okay.
Since we orders kind of went out of order a bit. Game 4, we got your Niners at the Packers. It's looking like this is going to be a snowball, or at least it was today. Again, that could change real quick, but Green Bay this time of year is cold weather. You guys travel well. You guys have uh won some pretty important games over there over the few years. Do you guys need it? Packers, I don't know if they need it, but it's a big game for them still. I mean, I think
We
both teams
want
do.
it.
They want it.
The Packers want to beat the 49ers. They
Yeah,
want it so bad.
they've been sent home a few times over the last few years. But also it's still important for them also to not, maybe have a tiebreaker, to get a tiebreaker if it comes into
Yeah.
play. All right, Matt, you've said a lot about your team. Did they get it done this week?
This to me is it's a Shanahan game. This is what he does. He owns a couple of teams. I think he did a really good job for the most part, outside of 2 execution moments last week in terms of play calling. I know I harped on that a little bit about the red zone stuff, but he just knows how to beat LaFleur, and this is a guy beating a guy off his tree. Like legit, that's what it is. When when somebody comes off the tree, it's usually the former that owns them. That's how it works. So I'm going to take the Niners in this game. I don't love it. I really don't. But I think what's going to benefit them, this should be a turnover fest. And when Green Bay gets in that mode, they very quickly snowball, not to be a pun there, and lose games. So I think the Niners grab one on the road that they really need and make the rest of this season interesting going forward.
Yeah. Why did Brock? Before I pick, why did Brock Purdy not practice today?
They're nursing. Well, he's practicing. He didn't speak to reporters after the game today. None of the quarterbacks did.
Okay, I thought I thought I saw that he pulled himself out of practice today or
No,
something.
he's in the LP.
Okay,
He's just an LP. He's got a sore shoulder from this last week. He'll be a go.
Gotcha. This to me is
George is playing, by the way.
This is the hardest one for me to
Kittle's
pick.
playing.
Like I want to go Packers, and because that would be great, because that would essentially kill your season. I think
Packers at home
Mm.
in the
I'm doing
snow.
it. I'm swinging different. I'm just gonna.
Woo!
It's just try to get a game. I do think the Packers won it. They have kind of been embarrassed by the Niners the last couple years. Again, maybe it's the same reason why I kind of thought maybe the Seahawks could win. Maybe they're finally getting what's due. Maybe that's what's gonna happen with the Niners this year. All the teams that they've owned are just it's not gonna be the case anymore. Who knows? It's also some wishful thinking and some bias. I recognize that. Um, I'm going with Packers. Home team. I'm going
All
home
right.
team.
I'll just keep it simple. 49ers. I think it's a must-win game for the Niners. It's a want-to-win game for the Packers.
That is a big difference.
And the Niners, like Shanahan's just been better against LaFleur. It's like sometimes people just are out coaching it's for whatever reason the Niners can't beat the Vikings. They've lost 8 times in a row to the Vikings for whatever reason. And the Packers the last 15 years has struggled against the Niners. No
Mhm.
matter who's playing, no matter what the teams are doing, they just do. And I think the Niners are going to come out. They have to come out firing. They must win this game. The players know they must win this game. Everyone that can be coming back health and play this game, they're going to come back and play this game. I
Yeah.
think I think the Niners get a couple interceptions. I think they throw one. I think the Niners win the turnover ratio and win this game by 6 points. So
Okay. Um. All right, Mike. We will stay with you. The last game, maybe the most consequential game. There is an opportunity for the Cardinals to get 2 games up on everybody if both the Niners and the Rams lose, and then they beat the Seahawks. That puts them 2 games up above everybody. But also, the Seahawks could be looking towards the top. I mean, there's a good chance the Seahawks could kind of really cement themselves as like trying to get after this division. Again, the most consequential week in the NFC West by far. Um, so because it's going to decide a whole lot of things going forward. Are the Niners still alive? Or are they not? What are the Seahawks? What are the Cardinals? What are the Rams? All right, Mike, you got Cardinals at Seahawks.
I I think it's going to be rainy and cold in Seattle. I think
Probably.
the Cardinals are a warm weather team.
They're a dome.
I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, well, they're in Phoenix. Even when the dome's open, it's warm.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. Yeah, it can open and close. I forgot.
and so I'm going to go Seahawks. I think the Cardinals are going to come back to earth just a little bit here. And I think it's going to take some of these division games to do it because their out of division games are going to Cardinals have the way to win this division. But the Seahawks have to win to keep themselves relevant. If they lose this game, the Niners win and the Rams win, Seahawks are really in a tough spot. Cardinals can lose this game and win out the most of the rest of their games and still be in the hunt for the playoffs.
Hmm.
Seahawks lose this game, they're kind of out. The Niners lose this game, they're kind of out. So it's the same thought. So give me the Seahawks.
Okay. Um, I'm going the Seahawks as well. So it's interesting. The Seahawks and Cardinals play each other 2 out of the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
Um, so again, these games are important. They haven't played the Cardinals at all yet. Um, the Cardinals pass rush is abysmal. It's ranked 30th. When Geno plays against a poor pass rush, he goes off. The Lions do not have a great pass rush in terms of pressure rate. They're actually they were towards the bottom. Geno Smith almost threw 400 yards against the Patriots. He threw for almost 400 yards. Um, Against the Falcons, who have the worst, they're 32nd. He had a great game and they dominated. So I look for Geno to have a great game tonight. Not tonight. This weekend. I do think that their secondary is questionable. I do think they have a really good slot corner in Greg Williams, I think is his name. He's pretty good. Garrett Williams. So I don't think JSN is gonna have a good game, but I think Lockett's gonna have his like monster Arizona game. He always has one. Um, I think that this Pat, what am I saying? The defense of the Seahawks has actually shown up the last 2 weeks, even though they choked away the loss to the Rams, they shut down that run defense or shut down the run game, and they had played really well against the Niners as well. So I think there's a lot of stats on the outside that you say that the Seahawks could actually win this game and actually win pretty handily. And so I'm going to take a team that really needs it to get it done. So I'm taking Seahawks. Matt.
Sorry, I muted myself for a moment. Um, I I don't disagree with you guys. I think this is a Seahawks game. I think the weather's a huge component there, and I totally agree with the pass rush issue. The 49ers did a great job teeing off on that on them when they played earlier, and then made a couple of really bad plays. So I definitely I think the Seahawks, and honestly, you guys might get this by 10. I like the moves in the bye week by McDonald. I like where the team is at as a whole. Gino needs a good week, though.
Yeah, he does.
And I understand he's playing the 49ers this last week, and they've A, had his number. B, it's a tough defense, the way it schemes against the Seahawks in particular. But he needs a good week, and I think he'll get one. This could be a 27-17, somewhere in that range, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think the Seahawks probably get the Cardinals in both of these games. If I'm just
there's
I really do feel that way.
If stuff plays out, like they could absolutely win this division if they get those 2 games on the Cardinals, then they have a positive record, and then I don't think anybody else. And the Rams might, depends how that plays out. They still have to play all their teams once again, but there is a path for the Seahawks to go on a run here. There really is.
Yeah, it could be a snowball effect, but it's all going to depend on Gino in the coming weeks for sure. But I give him this week for sure. And we'll kind of assess what happens between now and the next matchup with this one and the next. But I like them this week. For us this week, that's it. We're gonna wrap it here, and we already had a snow game tonight, so that's just setting off this preemptive Thanksgiving week. We will try and make sure that we get on before Thanksgiving next week. So we'll work out a time slot to get that done.
Might be shorter.
Yep. Be with you guys for a quick episode next week. At least get our pick 'em in, and hopefully have some cool stuff to chat about. We always have good stuff to chat about because the NFL is awesome, and it does not disappoint. Right. Hiatus for us, for those of us that are Duck fans this week. Got the week off in the NCAA. At some point, we are going to have to take a break from just not talking about college football and discuss what the heck is going on with this new 12-team playoff system and these psychos putting Boise State in there with a bye this last week. Everybody's talking about it everywhere I am right now. In the office, we're talking about it. Every show's talking about it. It's ridiculous.
No other organization, sports organization, has this issue. Figure your crap out, College Football Committee. Like, dear Lord, no, it's easy. It's easy for everybody else.
It's so bad.
Grow up.
But I'm hoping we get more of a chance to talk about it. Nonetheless, these guys are definitely stirring the pot, causing the conversation, and making even us lowly dorks that get on here to talk about our stuff every week bring it up even for a moment. So we will be watching that as we get really close here to championship week. We got 2 weeks of regular season play left in college football, and then it's going to be championship week, and it's going to get psychotic. So I'm super looking forward to it, and we'll have some more to say about it. You guys enjoy the weekend. We'll be back next week. Like I said, for a quick episode, go recap some stuff, and then we'll all go eat some turkey and fall asleep on the couch. Sound good?
Sweet. Love it.
All right. Later, everybody. We'll see you.
Good night.